Well, 15 minutes, that is 20 minutes to the top of the hour. That is of 10 a.m. And of course, in the last minutes of the show, I'm now heading straight into our on-ground discussion in matters regarding curbing corruption in the country, Uganda. And now let's get straight to, of course, with Joram as we get to our Zoom discussion regarding this very matter.
All right, now, as we turn our eyes off to the issues to deal with curbing corruption in the country, it has become a very huge topic of concern in the last few days, simply because of the issue to do with the iron sheet scandal, that is Karamoja. But not only that, there have been various cases in the country rotating around curbing corruption. We always have an annual corruption march where Ugandans march together in a fight against corruption. All right, now joining us this morning, we are joined by one Matovu Moses, who is joining us on Zoom, on our Zoom interface this morning, as he's coming in from the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue, that is NEED, and he's the spokesperson of NEED as well, the national spokesperson of NEED, the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue, as we discuss, among us, the key factors, how to curb and, of course, how to live with this kind of situation. How are we going to get out of it, though? Because it does seem like corruption, especially within the public offices or the public service, is becoming a new normal. Good morning, and thank you for joining us, Mr. Matovu Moses.
Good morning, brother. Thanks for hosting me.
Okay, and the pleasure is ours to have you this morning on our discussion dealing with curbing corruption. Let me hope you had a wonderful Easter weekend, though. Somehow
it was good.
Okay.
But you know, the economic situation does not favor that marvelous something we can think of.
Yes, I do understand about that particular issue. Because of the economic instability in the country, it's very rare to have such a good one. But anyway, starting from the Easter perspective, among us the key discussions across the Easter celebrations, when you look at the religious leaders, especially those under the Catholic Church, those under the Anglican Church, as well as the President's message to Ugandans during the Easter festivities was rotating around corruption. But the religious leaders were asking the president to overthrow some of the ministers, or to at least put them to at least make them resign due to the fact that most of them are indulging in corruption tendencies. But when you look at that, let's start our conversation from there. Corruption in the country, why is it becoming a
normal? Actually, if we have to understand better how to curb corruption, we need to understand what corruption is in the first place.
Okay.
Corruption, in simple terms, the misuse of the misuse of public office, either by your status, by your rank, or by your position. You misuse the public resources for your personal benefit. Now, if you are to categorically look at corruption, two layers: the higher level corruption, and this involves the president, ministers, and those higher top level officials. Now we have the lower level, where we have the public servants. Now, apparently, we are speaking more about the higher level, because now we're talking about the ministers and maybe the commissioners at that level. But now, if we are to cure this disease, look at the so-called political corruption. And I can ably say it is the mother of all other forms of corruption. But now, what is the challenge? We have two things. One, self-entitlement and impunity. Self-entitlement and impunity. Now, we shall discuss that. You allow me to talk about the forms of corruption, because now what we are seeing in Karamoja takes another form. But there are so many forms of corruption, and if I mention them, there you will see whether we have a cure as Uganda or not. One, we have what we call nepotism. we have a family, we have opportunities being channeled to family members and close friends. And why do we have persistent corruption in Uganda? In particular, many people are involved in high-level corruption are basically the closest. They are at the nucleus of the first family. They are the friends. If you mention, a few years ago, we had somebody called Kaboyo, Alice. I don't know whether you know her status. We had Jim Owez, the serving minister. I'm wondering whether you know his status, closeness to the first family. Those are the two examples I can mention because they are serving members of the public now. These are ministers, and they have been indicted, they have been charged, they have been prosecuted, you know, in the court of law. But now we have them as serving ministers. Why? We have had so many other corrupt officials, but because of impunity, you cannot do away with them. And they walk away with it. Now, when you look at nepotism, it is the biggest challenge, specifically in Uganda, because other issues like the embezzlement as a form of corruption, influence peddling, those ones you can at least deal with them. But now nepotism, where you see a family, one family is having a minister, a commander in the army, everywhere, in the commissions, everywhere. And these are the areas where you see a lot of money being swindled. Now, how do you treat that? Okay? Now, these are forms, sectarianism, tribalism, all these are forms of corruption. Can you just do away with them?
Mr. Moses, sorry to cut you short for the moment. Sorry to cut you short for the moment.
Yes.
I want to use a reference from a case in point in Tanzania here. The president just sacked the flight agency boss and made some new changes within the railways board. Now, this follows, of course, cases of corruption in there and embezzlement of government money. Yes. Some of the policymakers, and of course just like you as well, and the other critics of the government do believe the better way to start the fight against corruption is once someone is found guilty of a corruption tendency, they should definitely get fired there and then. But at times here in Uganda, it doesn't seem so, because once we, the journalists, report about these cases, and of course in Parliament you realize a committee brings out files that pin someone over a corruption tendency, we still see them in the office working again after months of censure and what have you. Do you think we should take on this issue that the Tanzanian government has already picked up?
Let me say that one cannot work anymore. Talked about the higher level corruption, and I told you culprits in this category are the ministers, the president, and those higher level officials. Okay. Now, why do they swindle public resources? It is because they are poor. It is not because they are faring badly. It is not because they are looking for food for their families and friends. No, these are well-to-do people. They are furnished. They are handsomely paid, very cushioned, you know. But it is because of greed. Two, because of the need to stay in office. Actually, there are two driving factors: greed and the need to stay in office. Now, you sack them. You cannot, as a politician, predict what they will do tomorrow. For example, now we have 32 ministers and MPs. If you sack them all, you have a belief or thinking that they will gang up against you. And because you still want to stay in office, you say, let's go slow on them as you calculate your politics. Because politics in the developing countries is becoming damn expensive. Our government officials, especially the commissioners, and the members of parliament want to amass a lot of money, amass a lot of wealth that they can use during campaigns. So now, you cannot just do away with them. We have seen on several occasions the president of the Republic of Uganda, stacks of money, especially I remember he was in Bushoga with the sacks of money during campaigns and towards campaigns, giving away and money to people, giving away handouts, okay? Bias people, telling people you vote so and so. Now, when people come into their offices, they are showing his interest. And I can tell you, there is no way you can apply what happened in Tanzania. Because, to be honest to you, I don't normally want to discuss a lot of politics in this show on your TV, but I want to go bare knuck on this. One of the key pillars why this government has stayed for 37 and so they bribe people during elections. Okay? So people do not exercise freely their right to vote. They vote because they have been given money. So they end up voting people who do not qualify to be in such positions. So now, there is no way you can apply what happened in Tanzania. However, there are things you can do, at least to curb it a bit, to slow corruption a bit. Okay? So I don't want just to lament as if there's nothing that can be done. Okay? Now, we have laws. And some time back, I remember when President was talking about when he was talking about the bail applications in court. He said the categories of people who should be denied bail include corrupt officials. Can we put that into practice? Because a corrupt official is not different from a terrorist. They're the same. He's a murderer. They're the same. We have seen a few months ago during after lockdown, we saw during vaccination, people vaccinated with expired drugs, and as need we showed you one of the kids who was vaccinated and eventually died. Why? Because these officials are corrupt.
Complications. So, by the look of things, you want to say that we have less capability of fighting corruption in Uganda? Or are the chances still realistic?
There is no goodwill. There is no goodwill. Actually, if there was goodwill, it is very easy to fight corruption. We have the laws. All these corrupt officials, now just imagine, apparently, Akasaija is still out, Lugolo is still out, Anita Mong, who even said, for me, I bought back the iron sheet, is still out. This literally means she confessed, she considered, she's corrupt, okay? But why do we have to carry on with investigations to such people who have already confessed? The laws should take course. But you see, you think now if I arrest the speaker, I arrest the Minister of Finance, I arrest the Prime Minister, now the whole government is down. So, in brief, there is no goodwill. But for us, as need and as the public, I can only say we can name and shame these corrupt officials, and we can force them. We can force them to cough what we have eaten. As a public, I think if we join our hand, we can do something, because the government as government, including the president, the head of state, there is absolutely no goodwill to fight corruption. It's been the very person, you remember some time back when Betty Kamya came up with a lifestyle audit. It was the president who told her, younger lady, please, can you go slow on those people? Because they're going to take out our money. Yet, here, okay?
As we are summing up, I would want to pose this question in your final remarks. Do you think that the Karamoja saga should be the kickstarter for Uganda's journey to end corruption?
And actually, if it is properly handled, it can be a symbol, just a symbol, because I've told you the different forms of corruption. Because you deal with the Karamoja issues, you have not dealt with nepotism, you have not dealt with sectarianism, not dealt with tribalism, you have not dealt tribal issues, those are simple ones. Influence peddling, okay? Fraud, those ones are simple, but the key issue is and vegetarianism. If you do away with them, you can never see the Karamoja issues coming up. But again, as a need, there is what we advocate in terms of governance. That Karamoja had their own independence in terms of deciding on to what they want. I don't think they would opt for Mabati, have other banners apart from Mabati. So different regions in different burning issues and which can be handled differently. So I think if the system of governance should be looked at, because if I'm coming from within Uganda, I'll feel sorry, I'll feel ashamed to send money that would help my fellow people because I'm accountable to them. But now you see, you mentioned somebody as the Minister of Karamoja. She doesn't know even the language of the Karamojong. She doesn't know the norms, the culture, the needs of those people in those areas. And so the Karamojongs have been crying. They have been saying, why don't you appoint people from our area? Because these are affirmative regions. They need specific attention. Okay? So literally, they need people who know their needs, their culture, their norms, and something like that. So, but if you just have a Matovu from here, you take a Matovu in Karamoja, it will take me a year to learn how Karamojongs behave. So I think even the kind of governance, the nature of governance should be looked at.
Many thanks for joining us this morning, and thank you for sparing some time to at least share with us your insightful discussion.
Please.
And of course, we also send greetings to everybody at the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue, that is NEED Uganda, and our greetings to all of them.
Thank you so much, please.
All right. Have a good day. And thank you very much for that. Now, for the viewers out there who have been watching, we have been discussing a little bit more to do with curbing corruption in Uganda here. We've had Matovu Moses, who is the national spokesperson for the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue, that is NEED Uganda, which is led by a former journalist and, of course, a man public speaker. He's also an orator, I should say. And not only that, he's also a man of God.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it's interesting.
Joseph Kableta.
Joseph Kableta is, he was a sports journalist.
Yes.
He's a former sports journalist, actually, and turned a preacher.
So, yeah, as you can see, leading the team there at NEED Uganda. But anyways, besides that, as we continue looking at, as we are summing up with our discussion, Andrew, before I take it back to Andrew here, corruption in the country. It's a big kind of concern for all of us. Yeah,
when you asked him about the incidents that happened in Tanzania regarding this matter, and saying that can this work in here in Uganda, he mentioned something so interesting. The actual peak was that even the people that are supposed to, investigate some of these related aspects, like auditors, the inspector generals in there. According to him, they are not qualified to be in these places. And that's why corruption can happen in broad daylight, because the people supposed to enforce anti-corruption related matters are not qualified. The issue may not be about the people who are stealing, but now the people who are supposed to check those people that are stealing are not competent enough, and that is something, very key, and the aspect of entitlement. People feel entitled according to the different attachments that they own and probably possess in a country. So they feel like they should, anyway, it's quite a very deep concept. But the Karamoja scandal, I think, we hope it's going to be this example. We need more of these examples, even of the cases that have been put on hold. The NSSF, we need to see reactions, coming out of that. But anyway, that is something which happened, but which was left in the shelf. Well, 5 minutes to the top of the hour, and we've come to the end of SMB this morning. And of course, on the 11th of April, Yes, I know majority, you've just been back from the very long Easter holidays, but of course it's now back to work. It's just fitting, try to fit in. And of course, life has to keep on moving regardless. Well, great things from where we started from, all the way from the news recap coming all down, of course, with the very interesting business conversations till this very hour as we winded it up with the corruption in Uganda. And of course, all this, you can always catch it at so many of the different platforms, and on DSTV channel 372 and GoTV channel 394. Of course, you'll be getting these updates and so many other related matters. And don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms at Smart24 TV. That's on Twitter. And Smart24 TV official on Facebook, at Smart24 TV Live. And that's on YouTube. You'll still be able to catch these interesting business conversations. I'm Andrew Barije. I've been with Joram, and of course together running driving your business in here. And of course we shall be returning tomorrow, as we get prepared for what the day brings in for it. But of course, coming up next is Financial Markets with Anthony Sebali. For any person that is interested to find out what's happening in that market, definitely it's the right spot for you to tune in. Well, till tomorrow, and a very good morning.